This is Jai. This is Jai.
Yeah. Go on, you dear. You may as well start.
So, we start?
Yeah, we started.
Great. So, good evening, everybody. Shalom, Jai. It's great to have you with us, with Sun Moon family. And I see a lot of videos, your videos, and you speak about a lot of things, about the giant, about the tree, and about many things. The picture is so large, and um, and I know you write a book now, and it's very interesting. What are you going to write in your book? Because you touch so many stuff, and yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, there's so many books out there, and there's so many YouTube channels and platforms where people tend to they come across some information and it excites them, and then they latch onto it, and then they focus on that and only that. And even though they declare themselves to have an open mind, or being somebody who is awakening and whatnot, like so many people are professing, they really just focus on one thing. And while that's nice, for me, so much of the information I'm coming across, as I quote unquote wake up, I will do this, by the way, just so you know. So much of the information that I come across, I've learned different tools to weigh it out over the past few years. And although I do use my logical reasoning mind to think about the so-called facts of the matter or the topic, I also use my intuition. I also use my creative side. I like to balance it out with the possibilities and the implications and the things that I come across that hit home right here, and I go, wow, like there's something to that. I don't automatically jump on it and say, oh, that's 100% true. That's it. And there's nothing. That's the ultimate truth right there. And I'm focusing on that and changing my channel name. I'm going to talk about that and only that forever until I die. I listened to that truth, to that inner voice or that vibration, the part of it that resonates with me. Anything that doesn't, back when I was a little younger and more prideful and egotistical, anything that I didn't agree with, anything that I didn't know or side with in those times, I would vehemently oppose it. And I would take what I accepted to be as the truth, and that would be my weapon. Everything else, it was garbage, it was trash. But then as I continued my walk, I began to realize everything is truth. I mean, everything can only really be one of two things. It can either be truth, or it can all be lies. But then as I continued, I realized there are no such thing as lies. Not in the sense of a 100% lie. I came to understand, and I'm sorry, sometimes I ramble, so you guys can stop me if I do. But on my path, what's that?
We're listening.
Oh, on my path, for example, I started off. There was this one verse in the Bible, the Christian Bible, where it said, "What is truth?" Right? And there was another verse that talked about God. I'm paraphrasing now, but basically God is truth. And then I asked myself, well, what is God? Who is God? And then I started thinking about the definitions of what defines the concept of what we all refer to as God. And one of those things is that God is everywhere, all permeating, omnipresent, has to be everywhere, which means there can be no exception to that rule. There's no place God cannot be. And if God is truth, that means truth is also everywhere. That every single thing is comprised of truth. And so if that's true, that means there are no lies, and the things that we consider to be lies or contradictions really don't exist. It's simply us not understanding it. It's us on our polarity. It's us seeing things from a very biased perspective. And that really opened my mind. And then I ran into another verse. You know, this was when I was very much into studying the Bible vehemently. Another verse said that all things are working together for good, right? So there really is no evil. There really is no bad. It's all a part of this experience and what we find nearby to us and in relation to us, what we, within the clothing of different energies that we put on when we enter into this realm, what we consider to be most like us energetically, and the things that we do not consider to be like us. So whenever I say, oh, I like that, it's only really a partial statement, because I am like that. I'm like everything. I'm like all things. And so going back to what I'll be talking about in my book is I don't really want to focus on, you know, a subject that I've just stumbled across and done some research on, and that's all I'm going to talk about is that one subject. What I'd like to do is what I am doing is I'm diving into the truly esoteric past and putting many of these puzzle pieces together, much of it based on what we would call factual information, but just as much of it, or the other half of it, comes from that energy that connects all of us. And I'm able to tap into that energy more strongly sometimes, and not as strongly sometimes, but sometimes those things just come to me, and people will ask me, well, you know, where do you get your information? You know, what books are you reading? And, you know, where can I get this information? Somebody wanted the texts. What are your reference texts? And that's only one side of it. That's only one part of it. You know, the reference text. Where do you get your information? Well, if I gave you the information to go read in a book somewhere, that information came from somebody else. So you can in turn ask the author, well, where did they get their information? Well, where did they get their information? And it's this endless loop. I got the information from me, ultimately, because I am connected to everything else. And so that's where the information comes from. It comes from me, or it comes from you. Inversely, we could say that as well. So I'll be mostly talking about the esoteric hidden past, or what I refer to as ancient oblivion. Many people, when we stumble into conspiracy circles and we start learning, you know, certain hidden truths, especially about history and whatnot, there seems to be this surface level, and you know, many people who've taken a dive into really getting deeper into their various religions, into the esoteric portion of their religions, they begin to learn that there are various levels that you can study these ancient scriptures or texts at, right? There's your surface level, and then there's the level right under the surface, and then there's your deep level, and then there's your hidden level, right? And many people, that the same thing applies when you're looking into conspiracies or alternative ideas on life itself. And I've found that many people, they'll get to the next level just below the surface, and while there may still be some truth there, that's where they stop, and their mind is blown, and they're so excited to have found something else, they stop right there. And I don't want to stop right there. I want to continue going and continue moving on. And so you know, I talk about ancient oblivion in many of my videos, which is our beginnings, right? And not even our beginnings, but the beginnings before us, or what we call us, or humanity, what came before and what came before that, and where did it all really begin. And so that's where the beginning of my book is going to start, the beginning of all things, and the beginnings of all things, because there were many beginnings of different things going on in the beginning. But I feel like it's very important to understand where things began and how we started off, how everything started off. Everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything here in our home, in our realm, as we understand it, things that we are familiar with, right? And then I want to take it to the present day and touch on the present day for a moment, because everyone understands the present day. That's all we're infatuated with, the present day and the here and the now. And many people talk about the present day. But we're going to touch on that for a moment in my book, and then I'm going to move on to what does it mean for us going forward. I feel like it's important to understand who we are, to get to know ourselves in order to know what the whole purpose is. What's the meaning? What's the value in life, and what is life, and are we really living life? And when we understand that, we can have a better experience in the present, and then we can understand our direction when we're going forward, and we can plan in advance, and we can understand what is coming in the future, which is also known as prophecy. But those are the three main parts of my book that I'm going to be going into as far as time periods. And of course, I'm going to be discussing things like the Titans of old, and then, of course, the giants, or some people say the Nephilim or the fallen ones or whatnot. I refer to them as the elven beings, also known as our ancient gods of various religions and belief systems around the realm. And mud fossils, which brings us into the present. Everyone is familiar with the idea of mud fossils, right? You've come across it?
Yeah. Yeah, the mud flood and all that. Yeah, the mud flood and all that, yeah.
Yes, and so I'll be talking about that. I'm definitely going to have sections about energetic properties, also known as magic. I like to just use the word that we've been given for it. I like magic, but it's basically discussing energy and the manipulation of energy, which is what everyone...
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra, yes, excellent. So real quick, did you hear my breakdown on the word abracadabra?
Not yet.
Okay, well, you'll appreciate this. Abracadabra is a real word. Like I said, it comes from what we consider to be gibberish or garbage or not truth or things made up. There are not. I'm not sure if there are too many things that are truly made up. They all come from somewhere. Even if we just try to think of the most ridiculous concept that we possibly could, that we've never thought of before, those little pieces come from truth from somewhere. They're coming from what's known as the ether, or the information, the energy that is all-encompassing, that's around us and connects all of us together. We're constantly communicating. We realize that, we're all communicating right now because we're doing it on purpose, and we know where the avenues by which we're communicating and whatnot. But even if people were to just try their hardest to be truly creative and come up with something 100% original, it's not really original. Everything has always been, and it's always will be, and it's always there. All you have to do is just reach out and grab it. It's right there. But anyhow, back to the word abracadabra. It's really interesting because I like words and word origins and etymology. So abracadabra is used, by the magicians, the magic ones, the ones who manipulate energy. And it's literally words, and the words have meaning. When people say abracadabra today, they don't know what they're saying. Much like they don't normally know what they're saying. But as far as understanding what that word means, they have no idea, no concept or clue. It's...
Don't mean.
What's that?
Yeah, they don't mean what they say.
They don't know, they don't mean what they say because they don't know the meaning of what they say. The meaning of abracadabra is which is like, it's an expression of like, oh, wow, or behold, essentially, right? And then bara is basically to create, right? And then ka or ka means to it's like a simile, or it's like the word like or as, like or as. So behold, create, bara, ka, or like or according to, and then dabara, which means words or speech or spells or whatnot. So it literally means behold, let it be according to my words, roughly translated. Let it be, let it come to pass
sounds
according
like
to what I'm saying.
absolute gibberish, and it actually means something completely different.
Yes, yes, which is usually the case.
Words.
Just like hocus pocus. Have you guys heard the origin of hocus pocus?
No, I'd like to, because your abracadabra one I've never heard before, and that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Hocus Pocus.
Well, hocus pocus is, what we call whenever we refer to somebody doing cheap magic. Basically, it's hocus pocus. So in the Latin priests, or what people refer to as the pagan priests of old, they would go out in the sunlight. They would perform a ritual, and they would hold up bread or a cracker or whatnot. And in Latin, they would allow the rays of the sun to permeate the cracker, which was their god, quote unquote. This is how it's presented, that the sun was their god. And so the rays of the sun, or that which was given birth by the sun, right, enter into the cracker, and then they eat it. And we know this as communion in the Catholic Church today. And it has various forms as well. But the priests, they would gather around and they would speak Latin. Other people that didn't know Latin would listen to them, but they picked up on what they would say. They would say, "Hoc est corpus meum," "Hoc est corpus meum," which means "this is my body" in Latin. And so the "Hoc est corpus meum" turned into hocus pocus today, because they're transubstantiating something that's not alive, and they're turning it into something that is alive, basically.
That kind of goes along with what I've been telling people in these chats, and that you don't know the words that you speak, because we spellbound and spellbind ourselves and each other daily, on a daily basis, nonstop, because we don't understand or comprehend the words that we're saying, even with just regular words broken down.
I agree. And another thing is, the more people study and research and they continue on, the more they become very, excited about speaking in a different manner as well, right? Like the most popular one that I always come across is when people say, "I understand." Now everyone says, "I overstand." I overstand that, and they're so excited. And it's so it's almost cute. Watching humanity grow like children. They get so excited about something and want to use it all the time. And but the thing is it's still words. It's still utterances. It's still a representation of something that's not the actual thing. Which is why I believe that in the beginnings of things, we were closer together. We were one. We were attached. All of the beings in this particular realm. Well, I'll just use the word telepathy. Okay, it's the closest thing that we have in our word system that I have to describe it, even though it doesn't accurately describe it. But we had a form of telepathy where we were linked to one another, and we felt what one another was feeling, and we could sense the smells and what was being conveyed, and the feelings, and the direction and the communication. It was all felt between one another, and there were really no need to utter and talk and put it outside of ourselves to go through a conduit to reach somebody else. It was already instantly known. All I had to do was all you had to do is open up. That's all, really. And so I feel like we live on this pendulum. Okay, one of the universal laws is the laws of cycle, and essentially everything happens over and over and over and over again, and it's cyclical. And as a part of that, at the top of the pendulum, we had this form of telepathy where we were linked and we understood one another in many different ways. More than just, you know, you can hear the words in my mind or whatnot. There were no words in my mind. There were feelings. There were pictures and experiences and things of that nature. As we got further and further away from that, we came to where the language that we came up with is just broken down. You know, what we tried to do is we tried to convey the pictures in our mind, the experiences that were happening in our minds, within us, in our energy, and we tried to write that out, to draw pictures of it, you know, which is a better way of communicating than drawing the symbols that we have today. But as that broke down into this pyramid of what we call the languages around the world, we get to the bottom of that pendulum. And at the bottom of the pendulum, it has nowhere else to go but up, which means inevitably we're going to return to that form of communication where we instantly understand and we know. And I feel like many people can tap into that today. It's known as the ether around us, the energy, the Akashic records. You know, people like Edgar Cayce. I don't know if you guys have ever studied or heard of Edgar Cayce, but he was a quote unquote prophet of like the early, I want to say the 20s in the, you know, the 1900s. And he was, according to my research, you know, he was just an average farmer, church-going Christian. And some things happened to him, and he was able to tap into what he referred to as the Akashic records. He was able to access information about people from around the world. And honestly, it scared him. And it scared him. He was nervous to do it each and every time. Even wondering if this information was coming from a satanic source or whatnot. He was very worried in his waking life when he was conscious of things. But he would go into these trances. He would lay down and go into these trances, and people would ask him questions, and he would essentially he said that he was traveling, right, spiritually or energetically. He was traveling to this place, this Akashic library, to access these records, this hall of records that contain all of this information. And really, he wasn't going anywhere. He was already there, just like you're already there. And he just realized it, you know. But his conscious mind had to link with his subconscious and give him something he understood so that he can experience it.
Is this the guy that's also known as the sleeping prophet?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and so Edgar Cayce, he was able to access the Akashic records, and that's just a name. That's just a name, you know. I'm not a big fan of using names or labels or logos or things like that, but it's just the energy that connects us all. There's information everywhere.
I wanted to jump back 1 minute. When you were talking about we had telepathic abilities where we were able to convey emotions, was that along the same lines as being empathic or empath?
Yes, it's like that. Being empathic is like I feel like if you're sad, I'm sad. You know what I mean? But it's not I'm sad because I'm experiencing your same sadness. That would be a deeper level than empathy. Empathy's a wonderful tool, and I think that we should all be much more empathetic. But this is more like I'm literally sharing in your experience, and because of that
agree with
experience,
you. But like, of us on this panel are pretty sensitive people and understand what you're talking about. We'll connect.
And for very empathetic people, or empathic, I should say, for people who are extremely empathic, or in tune, you could say. Have you guys ever seen the X-Men movies?
Yeah.
Cartoon or anything?
Yeah. Sure.
Has anyone not? Okay. All right. So one of the characters of these X-Men mutants, right? And this is all just metaphor for reality. One of the characters is Professor X, and Professor X is his mutant power is his psychic ability, but he can amplify his psychic ability by putting on this headset that they call Cerebro, and then he can sense pretty much every other person in the world. He can tune into the other mutants. He can tune into the human race, and he can sense them. Those of us who are beginning to trust in our connection to the all-permeating energy, there are times when not only can you choose to tap into that and you can sense things that are hard to describe, and you're not sure what it is, and it's because you haven't had a lot of practice in doing so, but sometimes it comes to you. Sometimes the beings of the world come to you energetically. It's a little hard to explain, but sometimes you can feel overwhelmed because all of a sudden you feel, I want to say you realize, but it's really you feel so many of the things that are around, and the connectedness with so many things. And sometimes it comes in the form of these waves of emotion. Sometimes it's very blissful and happy, and you're really connecting to all of those energies out there that are so supportive and loving and caring. But then sometimes it's like you're grief stricken, and you can feel the world is dissolving away and falling apart. You can feel that the pendulum is coming to its lowest point, and you can feel the hatred and the negative energies out there as well. And it almost makes you want to cry. You know, you just want to break down and cry for no reason whatsoever. People might not even realize it. Much of the time, many of us can become overwhelmed and we don't know what's wrong. You know, we're just sad. We're just depressed out of nowhere. And we just feel so bad. And it's like, we can't describe it, but this is what's going on. Subconsciously, your energy is so powerful. It's reaching out to the rest of the world, and you're feeling what's going on. And so we can be very, we wear our feelings on our sleeves, and we wear our emotions on our sleeves. And our emotions can be changed because we're so connected with those around us that we pick up on that energy. Our energy changes and fluctuates based on the energy that we are touching base with around us. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, makes sense, because I remember being younger, and I would talk about some of these things, these emotions and empathic, and I'd get told, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's nothing to worry about. You're overthinking." You know, so they, they're building walls in my mind. You know, we all build walls in our own mind to block all that stuff, and so we can't grow from there. Rather, we're blocked, and we have no windows or doors to see through or open.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that you're overthinking. You're expanding is really what it is. I mean, you're already everywhere. Your energy is already everywhere, but you have this point, what people refer to as a point of consciousness, right? And I mean, where are you in the body? You know, you guys can see me right now. Where am I? You know, am I just right here? And how big is it? Is it big? Is it a size that I can comprehend with my physical brain? You know, well, whatever is here is able to expand. We're taught to think that we're here. This is the limit of you. You know, your energy, what you define as you, cannot go outside of the boundaries of your physical body, your physical skin, which keeps locked in your soul or your energy or whatnot. But in reality, what it is you're expanding, and your energy actually is all around. You know, my energy is all around me in this sort of egg shape. Okay. It's a sort of blob of energy that goes around me, and that blob of energy, that egg, it fluctuates, it breathes, it goes in and out, and it can grow. It can get bigger and bigger. It can reach out, and that's why if someone's in your face, if somebody steps into your space and they're invading your space, you feel it energetically. You can close your eyes and you can be uncomfortable because you know someone is so close to you.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've been able to find my way of seeing the expansion and the empathic, or maybe even the Akashic records, because I get information downloaded, but I can't find anywhere when I go to research it. So I'm like the sleeping prophet. Am I actually getting real knowledge, or am I just imagining? But I've come to where I started to live a living synchronicity, And there's a couple of things that have happened, including you here today on this panel. It took a few weeks and even a month for the circle to complete, but yeah, my life basically lives in synchronicity. I'm in a synchronistic lifestyle, and that's how I bring, or that's how I've learned to recognize these energies ebbing and flowing.
Well, don't ever let anyone allow you to think or trick you into thinking that, oh, you think too much, you're overthinking this or that. When you experience synchronicities, when you experience the deja vu or anything that's out of the ordinary like that, that has you shaken, excited, shaken, like almost maybe even worried or whatnot, like is something surreal is happening to you, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on to it.
Yeah, try to experience it on a deeper level. Tap into it.
Yes, allow it. Allow yourself to be in that moment and to experience it and to feel it out. You know, remember how it feels, because that's a part of this interesting game that we play called life, is the forgetting. We're so forgetful. We forget something. I mean, so many times when I'm just on the verge of falling asleep, I come up with the most amazing, interesting thoughts and ideas and theories about things. And unfortunately, many of the times I'm just being too lazy or too tired to just get up out of bed and go write it down or whatnot. But I think to myself, man, this is great, but I know I'm about to drift off. And I know that that veil of forgetfulness is going to wrap over me once again in the morning. And I won't be as excited or as, you know, I'll have this like distant memory of it, but I'm not going to be like in that moment once again. You know,
I
hold on to it.
What I always do is have a writing pad near my bed. When I remember something, I have a pen and a writing pad and I write it down. And sometimes I write it down and I don't remember it the next day and I wrote something. Then I think, oh, was I thinking that at the moment? Oh. And then I start remembering what I was thinking. So sometimes I only use a couple of words, but that are basically about what I experience. So I experience a sensational feeling. I was thinking about that certain person, or as I was experiencing something from a person I'd never seen in my life, with visualization, everything with it. And then I write it down, because sometimes you experience often, if it is important for you, you will experience it again later on. And sometimes it's almost like a movie in certain parts.
Yep.
And then because you write it down, you remember it, and then you thought, oh, that part was that feeling. Now I'm on the second level, feeling a different stage of that process. And that's how it goes with me. I don't know if it's for everybody the same way, but I always experience things in parts.
Oh, I've always
just a small part that I can digest easily, and then another part that I can digest easily, and then another part. So it comes in parts of a puzzle, and then I put that puzzle together, and then I see the whole picture. But if I don't write it down, sometimes I forget certain things. That's why I start writing it down a couple of years ago. And therefore I can see the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
I've gone.
Thanks,
I've learned, and I hate to say it this way, but doing LSD, I learned that when I was up, you know, for the day, and I was learning all this stuff and getting all this information. When I were to come down off my trip and go to sleep, and then I would wake up, I would forget everything that I learned, and so then I started saying, well, I'll start staying up for, you know, the duration, which would be like 2 or 3 days. And then I got to where I'd stay up for 5 days, then 10 days, and then I'd go for 15. And over time, I ended up going on 30. And so I know what you say when you go to sleep and you are gonna you're having these thoughts and these ideas and this information incoming. But when you go to sleep, so I call sleep slip. So you sleep and fall, you bump your head, you get amnesia. So when you wake up again, you reawaken again, because you've going to sleep, you've done the resurrection. then you have to kind of rethink about what was it that I was thinking of, because your amnesia has kicked in. Whereas if you were to stay up for 2 or 3 days, you're able to grasp and hold on to it for a little bit longer. And I've also found that when I write stuff down, I'm basically diffusing it. But when I write it down, it's already been put into the sands of time, or it's been burned into the book of time, and then I no longer have to think about it. And then it comes around. Then the synchronicities start kicking in, and it can happen within seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years. And as long as you keep your mind on it, as long as when it completes and you have your mind on it, then what you were thinking that you thought you forgot, FORE, like for before, like for knowledge.
Well,
you find that it does come full circle, and it will complete again. Yeah.
Well, I think it's.
Can I just say, artist? Can I just say that Candy's joined us?
Oh,
yeah, didn't I walk into a room full of crazies? Hey, y'all.
Hey. What I think is that experience you were talking about in your fashion, I think it's a little bit different for everybody. Because we all just different. Some people can read very good. Some people can do modeling very good. Some people can draw a picture very good. Some people have certain kind of.
I can be late really good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but everybody has their distinct kind of speciality that they are good in. So maybe in your fashion, it's to stay awake and put it together. With me, it's a whole different kind of spectrum how I put it together. And I think because we're all the same, we all digest it in a little bit same, and we all put it in a different
absolutely.
frame of mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. The only reason why I try to have people, they say never sleep again. The only reason why I try to have others try to do this experiment by staying up for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, and then so on and so on and so on, is because I want to find somebody who does what I do. That way I can correlate with them and correspond with them to figure out if what we're gaining from the Aether or from the Akashic records or from others who are also sleeping or maybe even subconsciously, projecting. So I want to find someone who does what I do, so we can sit down and be like, okay, this seems legit. This seems like this is just nothing, and this seems like this could hold some validity. And I have yet to find someone. Well, I can't say that because I think Matt is pretty much there.
I would say that being a flat earther, you usually have a lot less sleep anyway, so usually up most of the night.
Yeah, because we are researching all the time. But I think in some way you always have connection in a way with other persons in their experience, but just sometimes in small connections, not all the connections, but just small pieces that are overlapping. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
It's always you have some similarity with other people, only they experience in their fashion because we are all different in a certain way. We think different, we experience our life a bit different in certain ways because we see it in our perspective, and we see it in a way that we are on that level, what we are here today on that level, what we learned. So we always see in the spectrum, in this perspective of what we have learned till now.
Oh yeah,
it's a learning process. Because sometimes that's why I write it down for myself. Sometimes I look back at old things I've written and I understand them much better now because I've gained a lot of knowledge in the meanwhile. So therefore, sometimes you look, I look back at videos I made on my channel and I see, oh, I put in that. Why I didn't even consciously put it in there, but for some reason I put it in there. And now I understand my old videos better than I understand them when I was making them.
Yeah, I agree.
I gained some knowledge in the meanwhile.
I agree with all the little things. I mean, because if I have to actually mentally not focus on synchronicity to go back to the so-called ordinary world. But that takes effort. If I don't actually concentrate on not doing that, then I can see connections down to the very minute, you know, very minute stuff, and it gets sometimes it does get overwhelming because what do you do with all this information, you know?
Well,
Write
digest
a
it.
book.
Digest it or write a book or learn from it. Every experience, good,
Anyway.
bad, you can learn from it and gain some knowledge from. Even a very bad experience, you can get a lot of knowledge from it that you can use later on in your life. That's the whole path that I am going. I learn certain things from these hangouts and what Jay was talking about. Some things I didn't really understand that he explained it in his fashion in a great way. So thank you for that, Jay. You helped me understand better certain things as before. So, yeah.
So, Jai, everything exists. No matter. No matter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say matter and no matter?
Matter
Yeah.
or no matter.
Yes. Yes.
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, right now I see both. You know, it's all a dream, really, or what we can conceive of as a dream. Reality, you know, it's so limited to our own bias. You know, what is real? How do you know I'm even real? You see a picture of me there on the screen, but what makes a thing real, you know?
That's right. So why don't we stick to the reality? You can make this with the finger, you know, but go to nature, see the sun, see the children laughing, and watch the sea, running and love somebody, love the neighbor, and not looking for so many stories. I don't know. I'm joking and not. I don't know. Yeah.
No, you're right, because what I do, and I talked about this in a hangout couple of times. Maybe Jay didn't hear it, and maybe some other people didn't hear it. What I always do is 2 times a week, if I get the chance more, but 2 times a week, I go to the forest and basically earth myself. Take off my shoes, take off my socks, stand on my feet on the soil, on the ground, and meditate. And then you can feel the energy of all your surroundings, and if you meditate a bit longer, you can feel the energy of the whole earth, basically, and can feel the heartbeat of the earth. If you really meditate long, just almost after half an hour, you start hearing more. You start hearing all the frequencies of the plants. That's the first thing what I hear is I'm in the forest, so therefore the first thing you hear are the frequencies of the plant.
Yeah, you're talking on something that I came across recently because I'm trying to do mushroom farming, and they're talking. I came across something else while looking into this stuff, and it was talking about the intelligent network of mycelium. And I started to realize then that when you're on the ground and you're grounded with your bare feet, are we in contact with the mycelium of the the underground network of intelligence?
Who knows? It could be. You're connected
It's full of
with the
negative
earth.
ions, and we definitely need them. We need the negative ions in the ground. Do you do that kind of thing, then, Jay? Do you take your shoes off and feet on the ground and?
A sun gaze, for instance.
No, I don't.
No,
I'm just being honest.
Nice and hot.
So here's the thing.
I encourage everybody, because some people sun gaze and they say, "Oh, I don't want to get very late in the evening, or I don't want to get very early up." You can also moon gaze.
You can.
You
can. See, that's the beautiful statement. You can do that. You can not
You can
do
choose
that.
it.
You can do either one, and that's what it's on my path. That's what it's all about, is experience. You see, we can talk about very lovely and wonderful things, which I'm very much in support of, as far as getting to know ourselves and grounding and expanding and becoming better people and whatnot. But what about the reverse? What about not? What about becoming fat and lazy and angry and resentful and living in a loop and not snapping out of it? What about just being one of the lemmings of the world? Isn't that also wonderful?
It's
absolutely.
It is part of the system, but if it's wonderful, that's we can have a discussion about that, of course. There are people who don't know any better most of the time, who live that lifestyle. And that's why it's good that you have people like us that can point in a direction. If they follow that is their choice. But I experience, when I eat healthy, I'm a vegan for almost 43 years now. And I've seen other people turn vegan, and they improve their life. You maybe know Vegan Warrior. He's now on the name. I think 90 pounds with eating vegan and bettering his lifestyle, and he's
Very
a happier
wonderful.
person for that.
So here's how I see many of those types of subjects, right? When it comes to doing the ritual or the physical in order to gain a better energetic or spiritual experience, there are tools like that out there that we can use as a conduit to become stronger or healthier or whatever it may be. But I also have this mindset that, for example, if let's talk about taking off your shoes and grounding. Don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way saying don't do it or it's bad or anything of that nature, right? And I would do it too as well. I like the feeling of, standing in the grass with my own feet and whatnot. But as far as allowing the experience to help me to grow, yes. But there's another thing. Things like that can be bypassed. They can be skipped over by simply understanding you are the ground. You already won me with it.
You are representing that. From what my comprehension is of things, you are representing that bypass or skip, but it's not really a bypass or skip. It's just a different way of grounding, and you are representing that to me right now by holding a physical representation of your chi or energy, the ball that you're holding in your hand.
Yeah.
To me, that is your ground.
Yeah, for everybody, it's in a different fashion. Some people have to take a certain step for it. Some people can skip indeed certain steps. And
you can skip it, or you can already experience it. You can be one with it. For example, let's talk about meditation, right? There, some of us, we have different levels of meditation. Many of us who are a little more in the awakened arenas, we would all agree meditation's a good thing, but you can be an experienced and practiced person who meditates. You can go into your room, you can cross your legs, you can have all the candles and smells and everything and have that peace, and you can veer off into your various directions and you can meditate in that way. But then there are those who can interact, those who can walk amongst you and seem to be functioning normally, and they're still meditating. They're still in their inner rooms, and they're still at one with things. And for example, I haven't really brought this up in a while, but there was the time whenever I was really vehemently talking about the blood over intent community and those who were trying to get me to, cut myself open and bleed write a message out to the universe and whatnot. And while I get it and understand why they're doing what they're doing, what many of those people who left comments on my channel and whatnot, what they didn't seem to grasp is I'm already one with those things. You know, they're trying to get to a place. I'm already at that place. I'm already there, you know, and I'm content with being there and being here at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Indeed. And yeah, you explained it in a great fashion. And what I need, and maybe it's just the way how I do it. I have to ground myself from time to time to energize myself. And some people don't need it. They do it in another way. They moon gaze or sun gaze, and yeah, and that's why I just give it as a possibility, and you give it as a possibility that you can do and see what works for you. Indeed, yeah.
Yes, and so whenever I get a lot of suggestions, you know, from many people, and there's, Jay, you should do this. Jay, you need to do this. You need to check this out. You need to do this. You need to change your life in this way and this that. I can.
No, I reckon, Jay, it has always been with you since you were a child. Anyway, you just understand what it is now. That's what keeps us all really sensitive people. That's why we all can connect. We didn't lose it.
Now we forgot it a bit.
That's because when you explain this bit about what this connection thing we've got, that's exactly how I would have explained it myself. That's what I felt from a child up. There was this connection thing we were in. Just like you said. You know, and it is very telepathic. It's something I know I've had. I've had it.
You can explore it, and you can get to know it and experience it and practice it. That's why I said when you have those moments where you're something unbelievable is happening and you're aware of certain energies, or for example, deja vu. You know, when you're in deja vu, when I'm in deja vu, I find I get the most fun out of that experience by simply becoming a watcher in my own body and just allowing it to process and being in tune and in touch with that moment or whatnot, right? That's one of the beautiful things that I can do. But another beautiful thing that I can do is I cannot. I can take it for granted. I could say, oh, deja vu, whatever, you know, and I can, that's one of the things that many people, those who are coming out of our preconceived ideas, that our conditioning that we've been given to us, is we take some of those things with us, and some of those things we take with us is our own bias. You know, for example, I'll give you an example. In the flat earth community, right? So many flat earthers they believed in this spinning, tilting, wobbling, flying ball, and then they broke free of that somehow, and they're like, oh, it's flat. But then they turn around and condemn those who are still on a similar path as the one that they were just on, instead of saying that's beautiful too. I love you and your path, and I'm excited that you're on your journey. You know, whether or not people are believing in a spinning ball, or they believe in the Quran or the Bible, or they're satanic, or they're Christian, or they're good people or evil people, and this all is the wonderful thing about our characters, this game that we choose to play. You can enjoy or not enjoy whatever you like. Yep. You can explore or not explore. You can gain knowledge or be ignorant of whatever you'd like to on this path. And that's something that I enjoy, sharing that path that I walk and my choices with other people. And also being able to look at others who are not like me, and learning and teaching myself to smile at them and to see myself in them, you know?
You can also choose to put on a shirt with a tree or not. Because you have to
say that again?
You can also choose to have a shirt on with a tree on it or not. Like you have now. You have a shirt with a tree on it.
Yes, purposefully.
He's noticed.
Yeah, I was noticed. I'm a graphic designer, so I noticed all those kinds of things.
Stop analyzing me. Stop it.
That's my job. I was a book printer for many years. So I'm trained in seeing details, because I was a book printer for 10 years. So I'm trained to see details on the printing work. So that's I always look at a certain. I look at differently I've trained to because of my education and also my mindset a bit. I first see the details and then I see the whole picture. So I first saw your tree on your shirt, then I saw your headphones, then I saw your face, and then the rest. That's how I see things. When I go into a room, I see first almost all the details, the chairs, the table, the lamp, and then I build the whole room as a picture.
Thanks for
it's
that.
Very fast. It's a couple of seconds. But...
Is Candy there?
I'm here. I was about to say, I wish you guys could have heard the conversation that I had yesterday in Discord, because everything, almost word for word, what Jay just said, that's what I said. Like all this war and the arguing, and you're not like me, so I can't be like with you, hang around with you, talk to you. That is so crazy. Like, especially if you're a Christian, you're supposed to be like an example for what you are teaching people. So you should be people should look at you and say, oh, well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I want to be like that. They seem happy. They're nice. I don't understand the whole condemning people for not being like you thing. No matter what it is, no matter what situation, flat earth, round earth, Christian, Buddhist, I don't care what it is. It's everybody's a person.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own mind to do whatever they want to do with it, whatever faith that they choose or path they want to take. It doesn't affect your relationship with them. I mean, unless you're going to get married, then that's another story. But
I think it's more like, I don't know if it's really a conscious thought or more of a deep inner attraction or not attraction. It's about resonance. So like a magnet will always attract the opposite, you know, how and push against its no, that's not a very good example, is it? But I think it's more.
You can
say like that though. It is a frequency.
You're losing me.
Indeed.
I think it's more like a resonating frequency that if you're not resonating with somebody, it doesn't mean that you should condemn them or not get along with them. It just means that it's not part of the flow that you're in. Are you the direct current, or are you the alternating current, and which way are you flowing and which way are they flowing? And so if everybody were to get together and, you know, separate, and I'm going to say this in a bad way and I don't mean to, but if everybody were to separate out and find who and what and with they resonate with, I think our resonations then would become more universal towards each other. But at this point in time, we're just trying to find where we belong, what our place is. Well, I shouldn't say place, but what our office or function or destiny. I guess I can go with that, or destiny, or the weird, so I think it's just right now because we're so separated out that's what we're used to, and we're trying to find our way. So once we find our way and we find out that we resonate, say like 300,000 people resonate better in Europe than America, and so forth and so on, a lot of different countries. If we all came together in the places that we all resonate correctly with, then we can go on to the more deeper and universal levels of resonating with everybody then. So I think it's, I honestly don't think it's unconscious. I think it's more of an inbuilt.
Just because you feel like that, or Candy feels like that, or Jay feels like that, unfortunately, a lot of other people don't feel like that.
I don't even think it's about resonating with somebody or people or a group. I think it's more like just accepting people for who they are and the choices that they make on their own.
Well, maybe I think it's both, resonating and accepting, and circle.
Oh yeah, I agree, Candy. I definitely agree. I just didn't want to say those words because then it sounds more like, to me.
I mean, I get what you're saying, because there is, not like cliquey type thing. I guess, really, for lack of better words, you find a clique that you click with. You find your own community. You know what I mean? But that was just a different path of what I was saying. I was just saying, I don't care if you resonate with me, but don't condemn me for what I believe or the path that I'm on.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no point
No.
for condemnation. Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't mean that personally. I mean anybody. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Always have a discussion with people, even though if you don't agree with their lifestyle, you can even learn things from certain people you don't agree with. You can learn from everybody, even from people who live in a whole nother lifestyle or have a totally different religion, for instance. You can still learn some aspects that you didn't know or never thought about that can even help you in your life or see it in another other perspective. So indeed,
Well, absolutely. That's
Artist,
why that's why I love synchronicity so much, because it does come down to these minute things about you can learn from everything around you, whether
yeah.
you resonate with the person or not, or everything with synchronicity has no boundaries,
excuse me, guys. We don't have Jai for a long time. So,
I was going to get back to. I wanted to say a
yeah.
few things to him. Yeah, because we don't have Jay very often. Yeah, your channel is full of so many things. A few weeks ago, I came across your Eclipse one. I love that one.
Remind me which one that was.
Oh, didn't you have one with an eclipse on it?
I don't think so.
Going through some of your posts anyway. Do you want to explain a bit about frog in a pot?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, so it's probably an older video. I have hundreds on there, and sometimes I forget some of the ones, which is too bad, really, because before I try to make my channel a little bit more pleasing to the various audiences that are out there, because there's so many ways to reach out to other people. So many places you can leave breadcrumbs for people to pick up. And some of my older videos are some of my favorite ones where I just spoke, with no green screen or pictures or sound effects or anything, and I just talked with you what was on my mind as a person. And yeah, the frog in the pot one, that's I do remember parts of that one where I was basically talking about, I think it was the reverse frog in a pot, actually. The concept of, if you put a frog into a pot and you slowly turn up the heat, it will die. It will boil itself to death, which is what's been happening to the world we live in. Everything is, see, that's the thing, is that the controllers of the world have time on their hands. They live so much longer than we do. I've learned. And at the very least, if they don't live as long as we do, they understand how to retain memories for much longer than we do. That we have that veil of forgetfulness, or Maya, that falls over us each time, even every morning when we wake up, and even from time to time throughout the day. And anyhow, they have time on their side. And so because they have time on their side, they have all of that time to plan. They have a lot of patience, Humanity is babies, comparatively speaking. They're children. We don't really have the time. We're rushed into trying to mature, and that's one of the wonderful things about us is our energy being babies. Now it's so often just placed into whatever, that energy is just put into so many other things. But can you imagine being and living for thousands of years, compared to our minuscule 100, maybe? Time would be on your side. You'd be so much more patient. You'd be more willing to listen and to allow things to permeate within you, and you can plan things out in the future, and we would carry ourselves, hopefully, more maturely, and be more understanding about things, and be slower to talk and quicker to listen and to experience and to see things everywhere. But time is definitely on their side, and so they have used time as a weapon against us.
Time and knowledge, of course.
Time and knowledge?
And therefore knowledge, because they have the time to gain the knowledge.
Yes.
and then lie to us with it.
Yes, and that's one of the wonderful things about humanity is, although because I see things happening shortly into the future, the powers that be, or whatever you'd like to call them, the people who are in charge and whatnot, they have been patient in a crafty way for so long, right? And they're used to that. They're used to being patient and allowing things to happen according to their time. But humanity has this wonderful aspect about it where it's impetuous and it will just act on impulse, and we're full of emotion and passion and whatever, and we can just blow up. Like humanity will just blow up and act on impulse all at one time. And I'm not just talking about like war or violence or whatever, but we all can just snap out of it. We could do things all at one time, and we rush into it with this just balancing rush of emotion and energy, just smashing into that steady timeline of patience, and it all comes together, and then it's going to all come together. I look forward to that. Okay, so what else were you wondering about? Maybe videos or things that I've done, or topics or channels or whatnot?
Yeah, you make a beautiful presentation. You present a beautiful picture in your video, and I was thinking maybe you are going to do this tonight. Present picture about the giant, about everything. Yeah.
Those are the implications. Like I was saying at the beginning, when we come across something and we learn it, then we must wonder about the implications, especially when it hits home and you're like, wow, that resonates with me. I understand, whatever. I know this. I'm intimate with that particular thing. What are now the implications so I can allow that thing to grow? So it's not limited to this one point, but this one point expands and grows. What are the implications? For example, people come across the flat earth. I say this a lot. Oh, the earth is flat. Oh, it's flat. Oh my God, I'm gonna talk about the flat earth forever. Here's all the reasons why the earth is flat. Here's the flatness of the earth. It's flat, it's flat, it's flat. Yes, okay, good. What happened? How did it come to be? What are the implications of it being flat? It takes you into other avenues, and it's not just flat earth theory. It can be the Nephilim or the giants or magic or energy or history, whatever it may be. When we learn something, when we come across something, study it and move out slightly from where it is and look at the implications, look at the other things that it affects and has an effect on, because ultimately, like I said, these are all little puzzle pieces all over the place that are interconnected, and if you can find the next puzzle piece that fits that one, you can build a bigger picture. It seems to be slow going to me personally when I find a puzzle piece over here and then I go, oh, look at that puzzle piece, and then I go find one over here, and then I take my eyes off of this one and I'm looking over here, and they're two seemingly, in my mind, unrelated conspiracies, ideas, alternative theories, or whatnot. They're unrelated. Or we can find one and we can start looking around for the matching piece and start looking for the other matching piece, and we start looking for the correlation, and we see how they're connected to the things around them. What are the implications of those particular pieces? We find other pieces. We start making the puzzle much bigger. We can see the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would explain it with Sun and Moon, with the people that come to the group, to the researchers, that everyone's doing their bit, but in that bit that they're doing, it overlaps with that person and that person and that person. It all becomes this puzzle. That's what I've always said about this group.
Oh, indeed.
You're saying the same.
Yeah, and it's great that he actually also says puzzle pieces. That's also the way I express it often. Like we all have puzzle pieces, and in this hangout we can put those puzzle pieces together and find more puzzle pieces.
Yeah, today I was thinking about how I was thinking of making a little video about you before it went on, but I was thinking I just didn't know where to start because you covered so many different things.
Hey, Jay, you remember that picture I sent you like a year ago after you did that video about the age of Kronos?
The picture?
Yeah, where my pupils were star-shaped.
Oh, yeah.
I thought about you the other day. I was looking for a picture in my Google Photos, and I found it, and I sent it to somebody. I could not convince them that it was not Photoshop. No. They didn't believe me for nothing.
You know, it's really interesting. There was actually a Doctor Who episode I watched recently where one of the characters had star-shaped pupil in her eye. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
No, you guys, I wasn't just soliciting pictures to Jay. It wasn't like that.
Well, something that I've also noticed, as well, is everyone wants you to be on their team, right? I'm not on anyone's team. I'm not on your team. I'm not on the Sun and Moon team. I'm not on, any of the famous people's teams or whatnot. So many people have this concept of teams and sides, and they want you or me to be on their side, because it makes them feel much more secure about the side that they've chosen. There are no sides. I'm not on a side. I used to be on sides. I used to be very much into sports and competition and being against and this and that, but I don't see that anymore. I put an announcement on my page, hey, I'm going to be on the Sun and Moon group chat and whatnot, and some people left comments, beware, watch out. I don't know, Jay. I just don't know. I liked you until you had said that.
Well, we are basically a research group, and we invite all kinds of people who do great research and have a certain perspective.
Yeah, and Sun and Moon doesn't own anybody. Everybody comes here because they want to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you don't want to come, feel free.
Start or control. It's just, I set the hang-ups up and you don't have to be ruled.
I'm sure people have feelings about it, but it doesn't have to be this particular group. It can be anything. I'm just using it as an example. For example, I'm friends with ODD. And he does a lot of good flat Earth research and whatnot. And that people, when people get to know you a little more and they get to know pieces about you, they're so easily disappointed. Whenever they see, oh, you spoke with this person, you interacted with this person or whatnot. I don't see things like that anymore. I can still get kind of put off by various topics, or people may oppose me or whatnot. For example, I'll give you two examples. One is one that has already happened. I was going back and forth with Quasi-Luminous on his channel for a time, which is no longer. But he was sort of seen as my sort of arch enemy, like this guy was my opposite, or this guy was my enemy, my arch enemy, or whatnot. He was the protagonist to my antagonist, and vice versa. And while he and I had different concepts, different ideas, and whatnot, it doesn't mean that because I was on his channel, or actually he was on my channel, it doesn't mean that. People, they're too apt to associate.
I like to say something about this. The reason that I wish you to come to Sun Moon is because we push each other. When it's a great knowledge, you want to push this on and on. And that's what I do. I share your videos because I love this, what you do. So I want more people will listen to you.
Yeah,
and
you gave him
know you. And not because that you are going to be in this family, like you said. I didn't think about this. No.
You want to give him a platform so he can express
yeah,
himself.
yeah, and the book that you and the idea that will come. You see?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly
Focus.
what you mean, because people tell me, oh, I was just so and so with so and so. I'm like, just because that person doesn't like me, I do not care that you are friends with them. Yeah, I don't know why people are like that.
I'm the same way. Like I said before, you can exchange ideas with even people you don't like and still learn things from them.
Man, that's the thing, though. You do like them. You are like them. Like is not an action. It's a comparison, you know. And that's the thing. The wisest beings who have ever lived spent much of their time with what are known as their enemies.
Yeah.
You know, their arch enemies. They spent time in their presence because they're sharpening one another, and you get this. You get a beauty from that. What seems to be duality, and it's okay. And I'm going to give you a second example, right? The first one was me and Quasi-Luminous or whatever. And,
I almost forgot about
that was fun.
Wait, just because you go on, I want to explain it in your fashion, but I'm limited in my English language. But I agree with how you said it just now. Yeah.
Well, the second example is I was at work the other day. Well, yesterday actually, and I get so energetic. It's like I catch on fire sometimes. I get so passionate, and I love it. I do. I love it. I'm glad that I get so passionate, even if it's misdirected passion at many of the times, right? But I'm glad I experienced that. It allows me to know I am what I call alive, you know, compared to, and I'll be doing a video about this because I've been rewatching the show Westworld, and it's got me thinking about various topics, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence versus consciousness and things like that. But I was speaking with this other person at my work, and he's fresh. I'll say he's fresh. His mind is very open and young, right? And so occasionally, randomly, I will throw a topic out there and ask if, you know, have you ever considered something of this nature, or what do you think about this? So for example, I was asking, he had mentioned the mountains. He had made some joking comment to a coworker about the mountains, you know, and we come from mountains and something else. But all I heard was we come from mountains. And doing my mud fossil research or investigations or experience that I have been, and researching the Titans and the origins and beginnings and how we came to be and things like that, I asked, you know, I let him know, I said, you know, there may be more truth in what you just said than we realize. What do you think the mountains are? You know, and he was like, well, the mountains are earth, you know, they're dirt or whatever. And I said, how do you think the mountains were formed? And he's like, tectonic plates, you know, which I had a good, strong feeling that was going to be the response. And I said, okay, so can you show me an example of how the tectonic plates work and form mountains using your hands? And so, you know, we're standing there at work, and he's like, oh, well, you know, the plates push together and they go like that and they make mountains. And so I copied what he did, and I said, well, have you ever seen a mountain that looks like that? You know, and we live at the base of the Rocky Mountains. You know, he's like, well, yeah, outside right there. And anyone who has seen the Rocky Mountains, you know that they don't look like this. You know, they don't look like spires shooting up into the sky. As we have that mental picture in our head, this is what people think of when they try to justify the existence of what we call mountains. They have this picture in their head that the land pushes together and it forms up into this sort of spiky spire shape. And so I was like, well, is that what you really see when you look out there? Because if you look at an aerial view, it's not anything like this. It's just elevated and sort of rocky terrain that's much higher than the rest of it. And as I'm speaking to him, someone else chimes in who was not a part of the conversation, right? But he's a listening ear, right? And here's what's going on. Once this other person chimes in, it changed. The situation changed from myself throwing a breadcrumb out to somebody to see, you know, who appears to be hungry, and throwing a breadcrumb to them. Now all of a sudden we have another character joining the scene, right? This character is listening out of the side of his ear, and he sees what's going on. It's not the information itself that the character is opposed to. It's not like the character wants to be a part of the discussion because he has something of value to bring to the table. The character sees the innocent, and the character sees the open mind and the youngness of the one I was speaking to, and he sees what's going on as far as the offering of food and nourishment to that person, right, along their path. They stop at my house, I offer them something to eat, right? And he sees this and he wants to detract from it. So he automatically goes, oh, well, you know, wind and rain over time, they smooth out those spires, and that's why they look like that, right? It was not a genuine attempt to join a philosophical conversation or to add some depth or understanding. It was a regurgitation. It was an instant response conditioned by the world that we live in today, by the energies that permeate this world today. It was a conditioned response. It's like in the Matrix, I refer to this a lot. It's like whenever, you know, you have your average citizens that are all plugged into the Matrix, well, they're still used as listening devices or cameras for the agents. And whenever the agents pick up on certain flags, certain keywords or things that they see, they turn into an agent and they get involved and they jump in to try to cut it off, right? It's not really the person's fault, if you can call it a person. I'm going to get into that in some other videos as well. But he jumps in to try to engage, and now it's a game. Now it's a battle. Now there is magic going on both sides, right? There's the manipulation of energy on both sides. And this is a wonderful example of the world we live in, of life itself. You have one offering, but not forcing. You have the other seeing the one in the middle, the neutral party, and trying to force it and to pull it towards it and to detract from the other party. Now you have a little war going on. Now you have a little game that's being played. And while that whole game is going on, being the energy that I have right now, I felt myself. I'm very self-aware. I can feel myself. I was getting hot and I was getting frustrated and enraged, and to top it all off, I couldn't continue the conversation because I work in a call center, and all of a sudden I had a customer in my headset, and I had to stop what I was doing over here, and I had to focus on my job and helping this person out, and meanwhile wanting desperately to jump back in there in order to respond and whatnot. And so once I was able to, I came back to, you know, the other kid, the kid that I was talking to, the neutral party, and I said, let me ask you something. Have you seen the Garden of the Gods? And here where I live, we have a rock park called the Garden of the Gods. There are these plates that stick up out of the ground at these strange angles, and they have no business really being there. There's nothing to explain their existence, right? It's just chalked up to erosion and wind and rain over time, right? And I said, have you been to the Garden of the Gods? He says, yes, I have. I said, how was that created? And he says, I don't know, erosion, you know? And I said, yes, but I want you to mentally put yourself there now. Remember what it was like when you were at the Garden of the Gods. When you looked around you, didn't you see the surrounding rolling hills? And he says, yes. Well, then wouldn't that same wind and rain and sleet and hail and snow and nature happening over the course of millions of years, as we're told, wouldn't that have the same effect on those surrounding geography? You would think so. And he was like, wow, yeah, I guess so, you know. And now I start talking a little bit loud enough so that the other party can now hear me, because now I'm jumping into my own character, right? I am now Daydreamer's enraged and inflamed, you know, that and it's not him. It was not that individual. It was the world that individual represents. It was the world around me. It was the energy around me. And my strongest desire to change it and to watch it change and to watch it grow and to turn into something else, right? And so I let him know. I said, the schooling that you have had for years and years of your life is worthless. if you think about it. It's used when you're watching Jeopardy so that you can answer a trivia question and earn some money, okay? You know, what good is it to know that George Washington had wooden teeth? That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's not weighty. It doesn't hold any value. You can't practically apply it in your life today. It's trivia. It's worthless knowledge. It's, I mean, true or not. And I said, the schools today, they don't teach you things that you can use, that you can know. They only teach you how to communicate in a most basic form and to use basic levels of math so that you can continue to work and to do your job. But all of the other things you've forgotten, all of the other things except for small bits of information or trivia that you have been conditioned to regurgitate whenever the question comes about, so that you can regurgitate it and move on and not think about it or question your reality, such as erosion. Wind and rain. How do you explain those strange rock formations? Oh, wind and rain. It's just, you know, the rain does that. Little droplets of water over time. I'm not saying erosion doesn't exist, but I am saying think outside of the box. When have you seen that happen to boulders, to rocks, to mud? Yes. To loose gravel? Yes. But to actual boulders, to those dense rocks that exist out there, wind and rain cutting into that? Question it, you know? And I'm not saying, and this is the conversation that I was having with this individual. But I was just, I was so enraged. And to top it all off, as I'm finishing up, I started talking to him and I said, you know, there are many things to learn in life. There are many avenues of information to gain. And many of the world's ancient writings and scriptures and historical records talk about things that we have never been taught in schools, like the fact that gigantic beings once existed, we call titans, that roamed about our world and our realm. Now, at this point in time, the other one, he starts laughing. He buries his face into his keyboard, and he's laughing loudly enough so that other people are starting to look at him, right? He's laughing at me, at what I'm saying. And I'm getting so enraged, and at the same time, on the verge of my subconscious, I realize I'm not mad at him. Consciously, I am. Consciously, I'm like, how dare you laugh at me, you know? But subconsciously, I realize I'm enraged with myself. That's an extension of myself. And I'm enraged because I allow myself to continue these various modes of thought in the world today. You know, and I took it home. I was just, I was so mad at the world. I was so mad at the way things are. I was so mad that people can be so hypnotized by the conditioning of the school system and their parents and their neighbors and their friends and families and the cartoons and the commercials and everything. They can be so hypnotized that they just are so prideful and egotistical. Erosion. It's erosion. And they laugh.
They're protecting all the wrong things and don't realize it.
Well, not just protecting. Yes, they don't realize it, and they're protecting it. They don't realize it, but they stand with pride, you know, knowing that they're on the side of what's been taught or the side of the system. They've received the documentation from the Wizard of Oz, and they've been approved going through the system and whatnot, which is really interesting to me because I've been through that system. I have people on, you know, leaving comments all day long like, this is what happens, you know, this is what happens when you don't graduate high school, you know? Oh, yeah. Like, you don't even, I did graduate high school. It's not something I'm proud of, though. So my retort to you isn't going to be, oh, yeah, I did graduate high school, so take that with honors. And I was in advanced classes. So that's nothing for me to brag about, you know? So they're already taking the wrong avenue and approach. They just don't understand. They don't share in that experience. But anyhow, my whole point to that was that
they don't understand and understand. Yeah. That's the problem.
We talk about what you're talking about periodically on this channel anyway. It comes up in things.
Oh yeah, I did some presentation. Yeah, I did some presentation about how certain strange things on the Earth are formed, like electrical discharge, electrical arcing. And you can see clearly discharge points and negative and positive discharge points on the Earth. You can clearly see them. And some people need to say, oh, it's erosion. But it's the same with if they discover an ancient building. They say, oh, it's a tomb. Done. And it's actually not a tomb. There never were extracted any bodies from that place. But they call it a tomb or a temple. And they are done with it. That's the easiest way to describe certain things they don't understand. Because often you can clearly see it's not a tomb. It's not a temple. It could be a temple, of course, but they give that name to it just to, it's easier. And everybody believes it, but they count on it that you don't do research. So they can say, oh, it's a temple, and everybody thinks, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, exactly. They want to know where do you get your information from? I get it from myself. You know, it's one of these days after I write my book, somebody may say, where'd you get what are your references? Oh, I referenced J. Dreamers. You know, or where'd he get that from? He didn't get it from anywhere. And that's what I love about talking about the implications of things. You get so far off, seemingly off topic, right? You're so far away from the actual subject that when people hear you speaking about it, even though you have an alternative idea on the core, they don't know how to come against it. They don't know how to troll against it. Let me give you a good example. I talk about the elves in my videos, right? I can tell you the earth is flat and trolls will appear out of the woodworks, right? People are like, oh, that's ridiculous. Science, you need to science and you need to this and that and research and Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? But if I talk about elves as being real, they don't even know how to respond to that. It is so it is so far out from the core that they're like they don't even want to devote the energy to it, because here's the thing. If I say the earth is flat, there's an element of reality there, and so they fight that element of reality and they go, oh, I'm opposed to that. If I talk about elves are real, goblins are real, elves are real, trolls are real, you know, that's so far outside of any type of it's too far removed from any connection they have to the core that they can't even argue. They can't even say anything like, this is what happens when you don't graduate high school, you know, because that wouldn't even make sense to say that, you know. They don't know how to come against it and come across it. So maybe, you know, maybe one of the tools I may be employing is starting as far out as I can and then working my way back in. But inevitably, the closer you get to someone else's core, right, there's solidity where they stand on, then they'll be able to interact because they can now see you. If I talk about the elven race, people are so far gone that like they think of the elf on the shelf, the Keebler elves, Dungeons and Dragons. It's too ridiculous for them to comment on. Yeah. But meanwhile, over here where I am, there is I have my own core over here, right? And I understand this is true. There is truth here to be found and to be understood and to be uncovered and spoken of. And so I confidently speak on it over here, not timidly and mildly. And so please don't judge me, but you know, it may be that there might be a such thing as elves. And I don't know. I'm just saying it could be. No, absolutely, there is a such thing as elves. They are real. And here's yes.
Yeah. When I was a bit younger, I don't know, I started go dancing, I put glitter in my hair, and twice I went out and I hadn't really drunk anything myself, but I don't know, I just suddenly people said, oh, you're a bit mystic, aren't you? And you know this and that, and it got around to asking them what they thought they were. You know, are you an angel? Are you a gnome? Are you a giant? Are you an elf, a fairy? And those people, they knew what they were. So in people, they know what they are. I know it might sound silly now because it was at a party and maybe they'd had a few drinks, but they all knew what they were. And some of them you could tell because they've got like grips in their hair. So they were angels, the way they had their grips.
You know,
there were just things about them. They act like who they are. And I remember going, oh, it was in a pub. I did the same thing. They all knew what they were.
They can't give you recoil about that, Jay, because their minds can't comprehend it. They were indoctrinated about the spherical earth, so they have an answer for it. So it makes them feel better to try to make you feel less important or less smart, less knowledgeable about the world. But when it comes to the subjects that you talk about, they can't troll you because they don't have answers to give you that contradict what you're saying. They don't even comprehend it. Their minds, they get what they got taught in school. They memorized it, and they're spitting it back at all of us flat earthers over here on the Flat Earth channels, but they can't do that with your subjects because they don't know anything about it.
I'm looking a quote up for you guys real quick.
Okay.
But it's like my daughter, she just did a project. She had to do a project at school about global warming. You know, I just walked down when I was muted. I walked down to my mom's house, and it was snowing last weekend, literally snowing. Snow on the ground. It's stuck and everything. It is so hot outside. I put a jacket on. I thought it was cold. I'm sweating like it's only 2 houses down. It's like 60-something degrees or 70 degrees out there. So it's global warming. Everything's global warming. But can you tell these people that look up in the sky and get your face out of your phone, you don't see that stuff up there? You don't think that that's affecting the weather? But they look at you like you're the craziest person in the world. You need to get off of that stuff you're smoking. You need to
microwaving.
My mom,
you're being microwaved.
My mom thinks that all the Flat Earth channels have brainwashed me. They brainwashed you. You're different now. Yeah, I'm proud of it too.
Yeah, you're different because you think about certain things and you think longer about certain things and you expand your mind and do research and talk about it. And like Jay is now on our channel and he talks about certain things that are great and also things I thought about. And actually he's thinking in the same fashion a lot of things that I think, oh, there are indeed more people who think in the same fashion, who do research, who think deeply, who expand on their research that they do. And then they go so far with the research, like I will sometimes do. I go so far away from the core, like he was describing, in a beautiful fashion, that they can't grasp it anymore. Because some people don't go that far away from their core and expand and think freely without any borders in their mind. Mm-hmm. I also try to think as free as possible. And if you think...
They don't have time to think. Jerry Springer's on.
You have to try and stay as open as possible because you think you know everything and you don't.
No, I say myself, I don't know everything. I'm still learning from people certain things or certain perspective I never thought about. And like you described, beautiful, it's a big puzzle. Sometimes you have 2 pieces and you don't know what the missing pieces in between are. And then you find those pieces because somebody says something or somebody shows something. Then you think, oh, now I understand it. It's like this. And that's the beautiful way of these hangouts and interacting with each other on the internet. It's a great way of finding a lot of information and hearing a lot of information.
Yeah, thank you, Artis.
Yep.
Jay, have you found your picture then?
Go ahead, Karen. I'm sorry.
No, not exactly. So I'm just going to summarize. I don't remember the exact quote, but I think it was from the Tao Te Ching.
The what?
Oh, hold on. My bad.
Okay.
I played our chat. I didn't even know I was in the chat. Okay, cool. 1 moment. There we go. Okay, sorry. I was lost on the internet there. Okay, so anyhow, one of my favorite books, that I've really learned a lot. I've taken a lot from it. I learned a lot about myself. Was studying the Tao Te Ching. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that one, but there's a lot of wisdom contained there, and it really encourages the reader to think for themselves, to think outside of the box, like I say. And one of the quotes, I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was something like, "The summer fly cannot conceive of ice because he's only surrounded by the heat." And the scholar cannot be convinced of anything else because he's only surrounded by his books, And a frog in a well only knows the stars and moon as its world, or something like that, you know. But it's I could not find it. I was looking so hard. But essentially, it's a caution, you know, to not think of our reality, our world, as being just the things that surround us, the things that we have come across thus far. You know, that's one of the mistakes that I had made. One of the wonderful and fun experiences that I was able to go through and participate in was thinking that the world is my experience, that I knew what there was to be known because I had acquired a particular knowledge, or I had gone through a particular experience, and that had limited me, and it had blinded me, and it had prevented me from expanding and growing. And it ended up being a tool, because the more I would try to force my knowledge onto other people. I mean, I used to be huge into debates. I used to really just enjoy just debating, you know, because I just wanted to be right, you know, and because I knew I was right. I was right, and they just don't understand, and they don't get it, you know. And I'm gonna argue it to death until you know, we either fight, or they're angry, or I'm angry, and it's or they're gonna jump on my side, which never really happened that often, you know. But I was when I continued to bang my head against that wall so many times, I got tired of, you know, the dull sensation of pain I was feeling. And so it allowed me, because I was stuck in one place for so long, or seemingly stuck in one place for so long, that became a tool in itself. My knowledge, my books that I had surrounded myself with, I was blind to the rest of the world. I was blind to being open to other concepts and knowledge, you know, and that became a tool. I banged my head against my own knowledge so many times. I created my own dead end for myself so many times that it became a tool for me to want to not live in the well any longer, to stare at the same scenery. I wanted to explore the rest of the world. I wanted to explore myself and how I felt about it. That's why I get excited at times whenever I find myself so passionate and energetic about other people, you know, especially when I have instances like the story I just told you, where people oppose me. I can feel myself. I get very hot, and I get very very anxious and impatient. And then there's the other side of me. Passionate, yes. There's the balancing side that is back here, having a conversation with myself, allowing myself to observe the situation and observe myself in character, how I'm responding to it. And it's sort of you know, kicking back, eating popcorn, and maybe making an occasional suggestion like, how do you feel right now? You know how you feel right now. Why do you feel this way right now? There's a reason behind it, you know. And I whisper these things to myself. We have these corridors. I am a wizard. You know how you were saying, you know, these people knew what they were. These people knew what type of character they are, aside from the human that we're told that we are or whatnot. Wizards have an interesting and unique ability to partition our minds. Okay, so we can split. You know how many people have learned about MK Ultra, and you know how the government tries to build these altars in people's minds and whatnot. Well, a wizard can willingly do that, can purposefully create altars in their own minds for different purposes and for different reasons. Not just, oh, I'm just a schizophrenic, crazy person or whatnot, but we can partition our minds. We can separate ourselves from events. We can remove ourselves from pain, or whether it be physical or emotional or whatnot. Now, in another part of the mind, we still experience it. We want to experience it. We need that experience. We need to put that under our belt to have it as a tool in a future situation. Right? But in another place in our mind, like I said, many of us are meditating. We're in another place. We're still aware of what's going on over here. We're still conscious of it, but we're also working on some other things. We're in touch with, you could call it your higher self, your spiritual self, your whatever you want to say. It's, you know, there's a link to another part of you that is not experiencing whatever's going down. It seems so detrimental, and we make mountains out of molehills, and oh, this is over. It's life itself. You know, somebody was saying earlier, like, you know, it's a Jerry Springer world. It's the here and now, and it's the fleshly, and it's about drama and who's doing what and who's into this and who's associating with who and who's talking about this and that and all of those things. That is noise to me, and I hear noise everywhere. It's a very noisy world if you listen.
Oh yeah.
There's noise everywhere. There's vibrations everywhere, and the song is off key, so to speak. But that's a part of the beauty of the song. This is the place in the song where it's supposed to be off key, because that off key represents a character in the song. You know.
I see it as a certain frequency is off key. You have different frequency, maybe 12, for instance. And only 4 of the 12 are off key, and the rest is in key.
The rest is in key?
Yeah, in key. Well, yeah, I'm from Germany, so sometimes I have a strange way of expressing myself in the English language. But the rest is vibrating in a level that is a vibration that is not off key. And the rest of the vibrations can be experienced as off-key. But you can also separate them. See that certain parts of the vibration are still in key, like the trees surrounding you, like the grass that is growing, like certain stones that are surrounding you, they can be in key. But a motor saw can be off-key. Just a visualization is this, just to show it how I experience certain frequency. It can be whole different things, but I just give an example. And then a motor saw can be off key, or a USTM tower can be off key with this frequency, or somebody that is very angry can be off a vibration that is a little bit annoying, but the rest can be in key, so you can feel the vibrations. I can feel the vibration feeling off and on key. And sometimes, yeah, that's the whole part of the grid that you can feel. And you can also change to the keys and the feel, and also block out certain things.
See, that's one of the wonderful things about where we live right now. This they say that all the world is a stage and all the men and women are merely players, right? Which is true. We put on costumes, we put on clothing of energy, clothing after clothing. We get into character. That's one of the things, you know, as a part of this breaking free. You know, you guys were talking about grounding yourselves earlier, right? By all means, break free, but realize that you are here as a character. Play the character every now and then. You know, be the character. Be that best of that character that you can be for that time, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to hang out for 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to have to get ready for work.
Is there something written on that ball or not? I could see some text.
Yes, it says, sich auf gewöhnlichen Boden bewegen.
Okay.
Right there.
A little bit higher. Okay. Or maybe sometimes people write on their water distiller happy or smiley face, because water has memory. So sometimes people write certain things on their bottle of water, happiness or happy.
Where does the writing come from? Right? It comes from your hand. And where does what dictates what the hand moves? Your mind, right? So you can have everything you drink say happy. You can have everything you interact. You can see. You can create your own what they call augmented reality today. You can place those things. That's a wonderful tool, like I was talking about earlier. But it's a physical representation or manifestation or attempt at manifesting something that is already true and already in existence. You know, it's just it's a sign.
I just gave it as an example. I just gave it an example that some people do that in it.
Yes, I don't.
Well,
I mean,
me neither. But
Do you think it's
if
the,
it
it's
hasn't
the
got
energy?
very long to go, not very long with us, Candy or you do you want to questions, as he said?
I was just gonna say, I saw that. What's his name, Doctor? The guy that did the stuff with the
Doctor
water.
Who?
Huh?
Doctor Who?
I'm not talking about Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Phil.
No, the doctor, the guy that did the stuff with the water, with the writing or talking to it, or what you guys were just talking about. What's his name?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, well, anyway, I think it's probably just the energy that you're putting out. I mean, because that's really everything. You give negative energy to something, and it's going to give you negative energy back. If you, like you were saying, the words that you speak, it can't. I mean, I know it's your mind, but it's an energy field.
Yeah, every word has a reaction, doesn't it? When you say something, there'll be a reaction to what's said, good or bad.
Yep.
Well, it seems that it's the reaction is it's all, and I apologize in part just because for some reason, for the majority of the things that I've said here, I'm speaking at a very deep level, and it's maybe I don't need to apologize because it's probably just the energy and vibration shared amongst us.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize for being yourself.
No, and also we asked you to come on.
Yeah. You can speak freely.
Everybody loves listening to you speak.
Yeah, like indeed. I have to listen to him. Yeah.
Oh crap! Sorry.
Come on. Bit of feedback there, Candy.
Oh, yeah.
I just turned my laptop on. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, just express yourself in the way you like, Jay. It's all good here.
Anyway, most of us that have got into all this knows that it's pretty deep, and it's never ending. It seems.
No.
So yeah.
It's a never-ending story.
I stopped apologizing for myself a long time ago. They just have to. I'm just me myself, and if people don't like it, yeah, that's their problem.
Well, many of the times when I say something like that, sometimes it's for my own benefit as well, because I'm constantly examining myself. I'm in awe of myself much of the time. I wonder at myself. I wonder why I respond and say the things I do, why I look the way that I do, and how I act the way that I do. And many times I test myself out. Those of you who have seen my channel, you'll see I may at one point be laid back and having a discussion or this and that, and then I just might do some crazy, funny, ridiculous stuff because I'm venturing outside of the character. I'm experiencing different things. I'm realizing, I can do something else. Yeah. I can try something else. I can do many of these things. I can be whatever character I would like to be here. Now I have certain what's the word? When I entered into this play,
Dr. Emoto.
I had certain tendencies, certain things that I lean towards naturally based on things that had happened and been planned out before I arrived, right? Those are only tendencies, though. For example, those of you who have ever studied astrology or the stars, you know that the stars and what we call planets and skylights and things like that, they have an effect, but it's only an effect on our tendencies. They cannot control, they cannot dictate and say this is who you are or what you will do or act or think or feel, but they can strongly influence the tendency for it to happen. Does that make sense? And so I sense those tendencies. And so I rebel against them much of the time just to get to know myself all that much more. And sometimes I indulge in those tendencies and I say, okay, I'm going to experience this one full on for a moment. And sometimes I feel tempted. I feel like I'm not a big follower. I don't follow crowds. I am not easily pressured by peers, and if anything, I go the opposite way. When people are trying to get me to do this, I tend to say, why is that happening? I want to do the opposite, to see why people are all on board with whatever's going on over here sometimes. So for example, with the tendencies, let's use astrology as an example. A full moon, I feel the energy, I feel what's going on, I feel the moon calling out, what we call the moon, the nightlight in the sky. I feel it calling out, I feel it tempting, I feel it supplying of a particular energy that is potential, and it's waiting to turn kinetic, it's waiting to be used, right? And it's supplying it with such power, and I feel it. I can feel the temptation of the moon. I guess you could, using simple ways of speech. The moon tempts us. When it's a big, huge, full, bright moon, it's very tempting to act a particular way, to feel a particular way. And so whenever I realize it, I hear the moon talking, I hear what it's saying, I hear it calling out. And many times, I will act the opposite, right? I will allow that energy to stay where it is, and I will have that knowledge walking around that so many are being affected by that energy because they're weak, essentially. They're not very strong. They're not practiced in resistance. And it really makes for an interesting spectacle. It's very fun to people watch whenever you know what's going on. You know what strings are being pulled. It's entertaining much of the time. But sometimes I will submit and say, okay, moon, let's do it, like let's turn into the werewolf tonight, or whatnot. But that's all a part of being the character. You can choose your own adventure. You can choose the path that you want to take. Okay. And collectively, we're doing that as well, not just as individuals, but as a collective consciousness, right? As a group soul or memory complex. We are all doing these things together, and we're all returning to one another slowly. And we will eventually experience the thing that we've already come out of and been through, and it will re-happen over time as well. I find myself getting so passionate, and I was talking to one of my close friends last night, and I was like, man, I love being passionate because it lets me know I'm alive, in comparison to some of what people call zombies or robots, or people that don't seem to have something going on behind the eyes, if that makes sense. It lets me know there's something there, or at least it's an indicator. I still question that. But my whole point behind that is, you are your own character, right? You are what they call a singularity on the inside. If there is an inside, it's probably not even inside, really. We're just taught to think that it is inside. But you are a singularity, a point of consciousness that puts on these different outfits and your different clothing or whatnot that you wear for your role in this play, for your character. And you can do whatever you'd like to with that. You can be the best character that you came here to be in character, or you can do other things as well. And that's why sometimes I can speak on a subject where I'm very much in support of this particular subject over here, right? And I'm not in support of this subject over here. But that's only one level of this character speaking. That's me speaking in my character, actually. Sometimes I can rise above my own character, right? And I can talk about things and understand things, various concepts or whatnot. What's that?
Sorry. I opened my Facebook and my video started playing.
There's a question in the chat room. It's Space is Fake. Just wanted to ask you, Jay, what was the next video topic and when would it be? To Jay.
Sorry, I was thinking. I don't know.
Right.
Good question. Let's just be honest. I don't know. You know, many people like to have answers and stuff. I don't. Honestly, I'm not even a fan of having a regularly scheduled live stream and stuff like that. I don't like it. I don't like structure. I don't like planning at all. I'm not a planning kind of person. You know, it was very difficult for me to be here today at a particular appointed time and to wake up early and this and that. And I'm glad I did. But it's not easy for me. I like to fly by the seat of my pants. I like to do things when they come to me. I act on inspiration in the moment, you know. So I don't really have an entire list of things that I am, you know, this is my next one and it's going to be this long, and I'm sorry. But I could talk about anything. It could be anything, whatever comes to mind. Most likely I'll give you an inclination. I'm sorry. Probably because I've been watching Westworld, I've been rewatching Westworld. Most likely I'll be talking about the concept of consciousness and what is it compared to artificial intelligence, and what are the two, and why do we think that we're any better or so much more alive than other things that seem to not be conscious, but we have created. And it brings in a creation question as well, especially when it comes to our bodies. Microscopically, we are robots. These bodies they're robotic. They're on automatic. They work without us having to tell them what to do. And so that's probably something I'll be talking about, because when I watch shows like Westworld, my mind is just blown away. Like I'm in a vortex of thought for hours afterwards. So that's probably something I'll be bringing up once again. I have had a few videos about that subject before. I'll probably be going into more detail, and I'm working on my breadcrumbs series. So, you know, I'm working at the details on how to do that. My breadcrumb series is going to be little short 2-minute videos, really just hitting the nail on the head, you know, one after another about whatever the topics are that I've talked about. So for example, my first one will be breadcrumbs about the elves. Elves are real. They are here. They are the gods, etc., etc. And it's just going to be in your face. This is what it is, right? And it's going to be presented as if this is how it is. You know what I mean? Because it's a breadcrumb, and it's more designed for people as a tool to help ease them into a place in life where they can be more patient and allow things to marinate. But that's not the world we live in today. Not so far.
So you could planting seeds. Also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a farmer, right? I'm always planting seeds everywhere I go. And that's not just YouTube, you know. I've been planting seeds since I was a child. I plant seeds for myself to find later. You know, I'll go plant a seed later on, and I'll come back when it's a tree, and I'll eat from it. And that's why so many of us are very spread out. And I don't say us as if, you know, everyone is involved. Okay, when I say these things, they're for people who are connected. Okay, and this is very difficult to describe because it seems inclusive or exclusive, and that it's different than that. But there are those of us who are separated throughout this realm. We are far away from one another, and we are supposed to be. And that's something many people have not realized yet, because we have this longing to come together and to be surrounded with like-minded people and whatnot. And yes, on occasion, it's like stopping for gas. You know, you're in your vessel, you're in your car, you're in character, you're driving about the world, minding your own business, doing what you do. And then every once in a while, you need to stop and get refueled, and you need to get the gas, right? So things like this, you know, when I jump on YouTube, it's an avenue for me to refuel. It allows me, when I get things out of me, I'm actually, I'm gaining energy, because it's pent up all day. It's bottled up, and I live to release it. I live to share it, but I don't necessarily want to share it with the other people who are like-minded, or those who share in my same type of energy or consciousness or whatnot around the world. I know I am here to not mingle with, you know, those who are like me. I do enjoy it. It's nice, but the fun and the action is out there. The action's out there amongst the zombies and amongst the world. That's where the challenge is, you know. Here, with you fine people, there is no challenge. I could be challenging, but I don't want to because it's early in the morning. But that's why we're spread out, because a seed needs to be separated from other seeds so that it can grow appropriately. You know, so that there can be enough distance for what is to come once it's full grown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Okay, well, I think it's a good time for me to say my fond farewells. I have to go do things, jump back into a loop.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your time with us before you went to work.
Yeah.
Yes,
and for getting up early to be on our panel. We really enjoyed it. Judith was really looking forward to you coming on. Weren't you, Judith?
Yes, I'm very enjoying beautiful conversation. Namaste, Jai. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, maybe we'll just come back soon and have another chinwag with us and carry on talking.
That would be great if he comes back another time and explain more about his views, visions of the world and everything around him. Yeah,
maybe.
For me, it was a great experience to have you on the Sun and Moon group. Yeah, and likewise, probably for the rest of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I like his energy. I like your energy. It's a happy energy.
And like me, what I see is a similarity in him, because I also talk with my hands. I talk a lot with my hands.
I think he's got to go, artist.
Sorry?
Bye, Jay. I think he might have gone. He had to go because he's got to go to work.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Karen. I got on my laptop so I can screen share whenever everybody's done talking. D Marvel just posted a new song on Facebook. So.
Do you want what?
D Marvel did another song on Facebook or rap.
Yeah, he just tagged me on Facebook and he did another song. So if you want me to share it later or whatever, I got on my laptop so I could.
Oh, okay. As long as we can share it.
Yeah, was it a song or a rap song?
That's what started playing whenever I opened I haven't heard it. Well, it's D Marvel. Of course, it's a rap song.
Okay.
But it's
I'm never sure whether to play anything anymore. I keep everything away from this channel because, I've been striked already. I couldn't stand it again.
No. Maybe
I'll hear it first or whatever. Maybe don't play it right now because I just couldn't stand anything go wrong on the channel. Got some copyright on it or something.
Oh, no. I talked to him. Like, I just messaged him and I asked him if it was okay to play it during the stream. Like,
oh, right. Okay, cool. He doesn't mind then. I'll go on then if that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Jay left. Did I make him leave?
Yeah, he had to go to his work, so he had to leave.
Yeah, he came on before he went to work. That's really nice of him, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, that's very nice of him that he took the time to get up early and be on our show. Yeah.
Yeah,
because most people like doing this after they can do work.
It was horrible. When he was on my stream, it was my very first stream. And I didn't know that I needed moderators. And I mean, it was really bad. And, I had never seen anything like that before. So I'm like reading the comments and reading the chat. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, it was really bad. I mean, I think that he just kind of was like, whoa, this is too much for me. Way to break myself in there.
He seems quite a sort of determined, calm person, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the things that he's talking about, well, maybe I'm with the fairies.
Okay, that was D Marvel. He said,
I like these things he was talking about. They resonated with me.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, it resonated.
I've sort of talked off and on about those things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to every stream he's ever had. I've watched every video he's ever made because nobody talks about the things that he talks about, and he does it in a way that's welcoming to listen to. You know what I mean? It's not condescending and I'm better than you and you better listen to me. And not saying that a lot of people people are like that, but
yeah. What is also interesting that probably Malena, the Native American, has also some visions that are close to his visions about certain things. That maybe it's even great to have them both on an hangout, Marlena and him and Jay that was here a minute ago. It's also a nice possibility, a nice thing to maybe do that. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I was waiting for D Marble to answer me just to be sure before I played this, but he said it's fine.
Okay.
Cool then. Go on then, Candy.
I don't know if it's just them talk. I don't know if there's a video. Did you present me? Everybody?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what?
I see now, yeah.
It just played a second ago. Hold up. Let me try this again. Wait a minute.
It's now loading at the moment, Candy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It just was playing a second ago because that's what the noise was when Jay said, "What'd you say?" It was not me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't sound that mean.
Sometimes it takes a minute to load. Yeah. There you go.
First off, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. The Earth is flat, mainly because the Earth's surface is 71% water, bodies of water do not occur. It's me panning from right to left on the x-axis on the Atlantic Ocean. I was just out there about a month ago visiting my daughter. All we saw was flat water as far as the eye could see.
Oh, it's stuck.
It's stuck.
Oh no, we haven't lost it, have we?
I don't know. The whole thing froze. Are you still there, Candy, or not?
She fell out before. Maybe she. Oh, she is. It's so annoying when that does it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the Hangout takes so much of the bandwidth.
I gotta put in the Discord too. It takes a lot.
Maybe just put it in the chat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's on. I don't know if you put it on YouTube or not.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. I can check. I don't know. This is weird because it was playing fine before. I mean, it was on mute because I was in the Hangout, but it was playing while I was not trying to let you guys hear it. But now that I want you to hear it, it won't play. I gotta close. I got a lot of stuff open.
We always have we always have some kind of
a bit technical.
Yeah, indeed. So this is the technical part. So we.
Spreading truth on.
Oh, we've lost Judith.
Oh, she said goodbye. I see it in the group chat. Love y'all. Thank you.
Oh, right. Yeah, so she did.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, we're on a little bit earlier tonight, though, guys. Well, we were actually on really early. I just made the mistake about not getting the right time zone. But, yeah, we're on earlier tonight, so we'll be finishing earlier tonight.
Yeah.
First off, let's go ahead and get there about a month ago visiting my daughter. All we saw was flat water as far as the eye could see. World is flat. The government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They deny God coming back. The world is flat. They know we gon' trip. They deny God. They deny God. Where did we begin? First off, I'm FE, your business. True to myself, and God bless me to see this perfect corrupt world just for what it really is. Timeless, fake faces till the over with. I'm speaking about time to let it sit on it. Deception and lies, to see it's all about the same. Drowning in your own lies, then we get contained. Government is that means my control. Feeding their people till they try to take the soul. In our whole damn life, we've been told we been living here spinning on a globe. Now what the hell you think they told us that for? So when the real reveals, let me get off the won't know. Hey look, it's getting old. I'm back there here to let you know. The world is flat. The government trying to hide that the world is back. They don't want to let us know that the world is back. Maybe now God coming back, the world is back. Maybe the two they know we gon' trip, world is back. The government trying to hide that the world is back. They don't want to let us know that the world is back. Maybe now God coming back, the world is back. Maybe the two they know we gon' trip. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the water. God made the firmament, divided the waters which were under the firmament on the waters which were above the firmament. And God called the firmament heaven. Genesis 1, 6, and 7.
It's the Jedi Knight on the mic with the master plan. Rocking braids, shades, and jumping out of band. We went from walking on a plane with spirit level. Winner drive away from spirits to a holy devil. Jealousy has got you mad because you know where I'm at. They're trying to say that I'm amazing because I'm keeping it flat. You see my name and say it's crazy when you have to see proof, but you know more about me than I know about you. I'm on a mission to go out and make the magic. Like this is daily, and I'm handing out the classes. Like cookies on cookies, you can see how fake face is. Like I was sitting here to tear down the matrix. I think the earth is flat, beautiful with laughter, but you still walking around here believing NASA. I'm stepping out on faith, believing God promises and teaches the masses to rely on that common sense.
Oh crap!
Well, we got the most.
The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat.
Oh
my God! I'm done. Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat.
wow, they are packing some real. Yeah, they're packing some real good flow, man. Great rap video.
Yeah,
wow.
thank you very much for letting us play it on our channel.
Wow, great beats, great flow. Wow, that is really something. Yeah, I mentioned that you really wanted to show us this. Yeah, that is.
We saw it.
Wow. All right.
Thanks, Candy. It's always got to be a bit of technical. It always happens.
Oh, wait,
yeah,
I
but
you know
I
what
hope
you
he
could
also.
have done? You could have played it without showing the video, and that might have mean that you can play the song Bell and you're not sharing it.
Oh yeah, let me try. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Try that.
Wow. Yeah, really great video of D. Martel and his companion.
Screen sharing probably takes more bandwidth. My dog wants to come in. I can't wait. Can you stop presenting me? I don't know if
It was from D. Marble. And is that other guy Joseph Julius Links or something?
You just
that.
You just play it the same, but just don't share it. Just play it, and it'll be your icon moving instead of a video.
I had to refresh it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, the world is flat. It's the world is flat by BAGDAG featuring.
That's Baghdad.
Yeah, Baghdad.
Right to left. On the x-axis, on the Atlantic Ocean. I was just out there about a month ago visiting my daughter. All we saw was flat water as far as the ice.
The world is back. The government trying to hide that the world is back. They don't want to let us know that the world is back. Maybe now God coming back. The world is back. Maybe they know we gon' trip. Maybe now God. Maybe now God. Where to begin with so much information? First off, I'm FD, your business. True to myself and God bless me to see this. Perfect corrupt world, just for what it really is. Time was fake faces till the over with. It's about time to let it sit on it. Deception and lies, the secret's all about the same. Drowning in your own lies, then we entertain. Government is that means my control. Be that faithful till they try to take the soul. In our whole damn life, we control. We living here spinning on a throne. And what the hell you think that's on us that phone? So when the real reveals, that's what we also won't know. And look, it's getting old. I'm back there, here to let you know. The world is black. The government trying to hide that the world is black. They don't want to let us know that the world is black. Maybe now God coming back, the world is black. Maybe the two they know we gon' trip. World is black. The government trying to hide that the world is black. They don't want to let us know that the world is black. Maybe now God coming back, the world is black. Maybe the two they know we gon' trip. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the water. God made the firmament to divide the waters under the firmament on the waters which was above the firmament. And God called the firmament heaven. Genesis 1:6-7.
It's the Jedi Knight on the mic. Master plan. Rocking braids, shades, and jumping out of band. We went from walking on a plane to the level. Winner drive away conspiracy to oppose the devil. Jealousy has got me mad because you power on that. They're trying to say that I'm amazing because I'm keeping it flat. You see my name to say it's funny if you ask. But you know more about me than I know about you. I'm on a mission to go out and make the masses. Like this is they live and I'm heading out the class. Like cookies on cookie, you can see how fake face is. Like I was sitting here to tear down the matrix. I think the earth is like you with laughter, but you still walking around here believing NASA. I'm stepping out on faith, believing God promises and teaches the masses to rely on that common sense. The earth is not spinning, you don't see its motion. You see a flat horizon.
Oh, awesome, Candy. Thanks, man. Wow. Great hip-hop track. Woo.
Cool.
Woohoo. All right. Yeah, I can dance to that. And also great information. And wow. Great, man. A job well done.
Yeah, his other song was good too. Needs to keep that music.
Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, I like it very much. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And the world is flat.
I gotta do some stuff around here, and I got a big problem now. I just dropped some meat on the floor, like raw meat, and I gotta go clean it.
Oh, no.
You were probably dancing to the song, Candy, and dropped some sort of things. Okay.
Well, we've been on for 2.5 hours. We can finish the hangout right now because we've spoken to Jay and we've had your lovely company, Candy, and you've managed to play the song. So we've been going for about 2.5 hours.
Already.
So we can finish the hangout. Shall we finish the hangout today?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, because some of us have been sitting on here for a few hours before because one made a mistake about the time zone. And so we were sitting on here for 3 hours before we had the hangout.
We forgive you, Karen.
Waiting. Sorry to everybody. Even Candy was there.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well, that was a really interesting, nice afternoon for us. And it was nice to hear someone with some really positive energy. And thank you to everybody that came on the panel and to everybody that's in the chat room and to everybody that's going to watch the video. Anyway, we're back tomorrow night with Santos Bonacci and Bro Sanchez, 11 p.m. UK time. This is the 4th time they're meeting, so that's really exciting as well. But anyway, thank you so much, Candy, Patricia, Artist, and everybody else. Jay, you did. Is that who else came on? Is that it tonight? Oh yeah, and Chris.
Yeah.
And we see you tomorrow, late tomorrow night. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, wherever you are.
Yeah. Good afternoon to you. It's good evening to us now. But thank you so much, Candy, Artist, Patricia, and everyone else. Bye then. Bye everybody.
Bye bye.